Hi trader, welcome to the weekly Forex video. My name is Chris and today a look on the US dollar reversal that I'm expecting. First of all though, be aware that this video is shown to a global audience and may not be suitable for everyone. Please visit admiralmarketsglobal.com, select your country of residence and contact the appropriate entity to find out if it is suitable for you. Also please note that trading for exchange and global financial markets in general are considered high risk. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. This video is for informational and educational purposes only. By continuing watching this webinar, you agree with this disclaimer and you are aware of the risk involved when trading. Kick off the webinar, or the video I should say, with the dollar-yen weekly chart, and you can see the price is making a flat double top here and a bit of a wedge actually with slightly higher lows. And last week was a candle with a big wick at the bottom, indicating a bounce at support at 110. So I think that bounce could last a bit further and could continue this week potentially. If price were to break below 110, of course, that could be a bearish breakout as well. I myself am not expecting that. I think that there will be a bounce to retest maybe the middle zone here at 112.50, for instance. We'll take a look at that on lower time frames. But so I'm expecting the bounce. But 110 is an important level, and I would consider myself or this analysis to be incorrect if price does break through 110, and in that case I think price might see some downside continuation. In that case price probably will go down to 105, follow through this to this minus 272 target. In the meantime though, all right, you can see the bigger picture, by the way, which was uptrend, correction. So I think more correction eventually downwards to test this bottom is possible, but I think that price will bounce and use this trend line. Let's take a look at the daily chart, and you can see a couple of bullish candles already right at this support level, and I think that there could be a correction of this particular downtrend on the 4-hour chart. And you can see that if you draw trend lines as a resistance, the price already broke above that as well. So what I'm expecting now is perhaps a small dip to the weekly pivot point, but I would expect price not to break below 110 first of all, and I would expect price not to break below even 110.25. I think a likely bouncing spot is 110.50 right here at the weekly pivot point. This looks like a wave 4 at this moment because price is basically going sideways and had a strong breakout here. So I'm expecting price to maybe slightly extend this bull flag down to the weekly pivot point, but then turn or perhaps even break immediately like this. So I think the target, if there's a good 4-hour breakout candle, for instance, or 1-hour candle perhaps better, above the Keltner, for instance, which is part of the empty premium edition package, which you can find on admiralmarkets.com, by the way. And there are many more extra features that you will find interesting besides this indicator, 60 plus of them. So, well, let's take a look at the 4-hour chart, in fact, to see the target, because I would like to put a fib from here to here, from the entire top to the entire bottom of this 4-hour trend. You can see the price only stopped at the 23.6 fib. So I think that if it hits the weekly pivot point or breaks out above resistance, that there's a good chance of eventually later this week, maybe next week, to get to the R2 and the 38.2 fib at 111.60. I think that's a decent target, and I think, in my opinion, it could even go further up to this 50.61.8 Fibonacci confluence here, and then turn back down. So the dollar strength, I think, versus the yen at least, could last for a while in August, reaching at least to 111.60 in my view, even further up to these fibs, but not breaking 110 or 110.25. All right, more webinars with a view on the dollar yen and the euro dollar and pound dollar, of course, as well. Today with Nenit, his session recap. Tomorrow with my webinar looking at trade structure and patterns, live trading. Wednesday with Nenit again, and then Wednesday a bit later, I take a look at trading retracements in the trend. And Thursday, together, we take a look at money management ideas or techniques. So hope to see you in one or perhaps even all of these webinars soon. All right, let's move on now to the euro-dollar daily chart, and definitely huge uptrend, of course, on the euro-dollar, moving basically all the way from 111 to 119, almost 120. So definitely hundreds of pips of movement here, and if you even consider that's just from the mid-June, and if you consider April the starting spot, then more than 1,000, about 1,200 pips. So definitely strong uptrend. But Friday was NFP, non-farm payroll, in the US, and the dollar reacted bullishly. So this uptrend, I think, is not over, but there could be a retracement, I think, on the euro dollar, considering Friday's bearish candle, but also last week's doji, or let's say wick on the top of the candle, indicating some exhaustion there. So I think that, you know, price already stopped at the 23.6 fib, which you can see right here, and I think that basically price could retrace deeper. I think the 38.2 fib is very modest retracement still, and I think that the 38.2 fib and S2 is definitely a decent kind of retracement that price could go to. Now it could go even deeper depending on exactly what swing is retraced. If I use a wider fib, for instance, like this, price might even retrace to 114, right, which is at the wider 38.2 fib. So basically, I think that anywhere between 114 and 116 is where price could bounce and continue with the uptrend, because eventually I do think that 120 will get hit, and maybe even further. So I think that this euro dollar uptrend is not over, but this week, maybe next week, maybe a part of or entire August could see some euro dollar retracement and dollar strength, basically, in my view. So probably will be a bit choppy. It could be a bit with ups and downs, and as price gets down to 116, 115, or 114. I'm not sure which one. I'll keep an eye on the price movement as it retraces, if it retraces, and we'll keep an eye on that in the live webinars. Now, if it doesn't retrace, I would need to see a strong bullish candle, and then probably a break above 111.20 for me to consider the uptrend back into force without price retracing back to 116. All right, that was just the minimum kind of idea retracement target I have in mind. You can see that, you know, this is basically retesting the weekly pivot point right now at 118. Now I think that if this is a reversal, price should typically not dab into above 118.25. So you know, there is a bit of bearishness, now a bit of bullishness. I think that I'm not sure how far this will last. It seems to be reacting quite strongly at this moment. So in my view, you know, price at this pivot point, let's see how this hourly candle closes. But in my view, if this candle, next candle, the candle after that, let's say in a couple of candles is bearish, respects the weekly pivot point or this bottom, I think that confirms the bearish outlook. But if price, for whatever reason, starts to show 4-hour candles here, breaking above 118.25, you know, you never know. Things might be different. This could be just a simple retracement, and price could still continue up to 120. All right. I would like to see a bullish candle, daily candle preferably, but let's see. If there's a very strong 4-hour candle like this, I might already actually consider that to be sufficient. And in that case, if there's on a lower time frame some bull flag, it could be ready for upside. So yes, at the moment I am bearish on the euro dollar and bullish on the dollar because of Friday's reaction, and I think that there is some overextension perhaps possible, considering the fact that there is a divergence on the 4-hour chart. And from that point of view, typically when that happens, price makes a bit deeper retracement. But there's no golden rule. There's never any guarantee for that. So although I, you know, favor bearishness, I still want to see how price responds with 4-hour candles in this resistance zone. And if it does what it does, if it does what I think it does, then it should be a bounce. But if there are strong candles breaking above 118.25, I would reconsider that. Now the pound is basically pretty much similar, also showing a bearishness and a breakthrough support level. So I think that retracement for the pound to the weekly pivot point at 131, like this, seems likely, and I would be looking for a bounce in this zone for downside continuation. All right, so when putting a fib on this 4-hour move like this, I'll be looking for a bounce at the 38.50 fib and looking for continuation down to the S1 and perhaps S2. That's what I think the pound will do. And considering the break here and the break of this rising wedge, in fact, as well, as you consider like that, break of the rising wedge. So I'm looking for bearishness, but I would like to short it a bit higher, so I get a bit more reward to risk space, and then looking for the fall like this. All right, thanks for joining. I hope to see you in the webinars. Check out admiralmarkets.com for the MetaTrader 4 Superior Edition, analytics, webinars, articles, you name it. And of course, wish you all great trading. Cheers.